I'm here at the Plunge factory and headquarters. This is their company wellness center in Sacramento, California. And I have the privilege to compare the Plunge XL to the brand new Plunge All-In. These are two of the most sought after Plunge products, and we're gonna do a side-by-side comparison and help figure out which one is best for you. Let's jump in. A few fun things to note: that the Plunge XL and the Plunge All-In are virtually the same exact size from the outside specs. If you look at the interior specs, they may appear to be a little bit different, but where the Plunge All-In has their chiller and it seems as if it's taking up some of the space inside the Plunge, they've actually adjusted to where there's just enough space for you to get fully submerged and have as much room as you possibly need. At first glance, there's quite a few differences. Obviously, when you're looking at the Plunge XL, you are gonna have components on the backside. The chiller is separate. The filters and the pipes and all of the plumbing are on the backside with a nice beautiful cover, but there is gonna need to be some room behind your Plunge and your Plunge XL. On the contrary, your Plunge All-In is just that. Everything is all in. All of the components are built right here inside the Plunge. Now what that means is it does appear that there will be less room inside the Plunge All-In, but that's not the case. Where they took some of the spacing for the chiller, they actually designed it so there's more room going down. So if you look at the Plunge XL, both of the sides come in at the same angle, and if you look at the inside of the Plunge All-In, this side goes pretty vertical. So there's more room down where your feet are actually gonna go, which makes for a really cool experience. I wanted to turn the lights on for this next part. I wanna measure both of these with a tape measure because we know what the measurements look like online, but I wanna show you visually what the measurements are gonna look like. So, from the floor to the top of the Plunge XL is 27.5 inches. Same measurements. The Plunge All-In is 28 inches. Just to verify that, we're looking at 27.5, and on the All-In, we're looking at 28. So it is gonna sit up a little bit higher than the Plunge XL. Width-wise, we're looking at 32.5 inches. Width-wise on the All-In, we're looking at 31.5 inches, and that's the outside edge. Now let's talk about length. Length-wise, let's see if I can do this myself. We're looking at just under 73 inches. These are real measurements with a tape measure. On the All-In, we're looking at 77 inches. So those are the exterior dimensions of just the tub itself. There is nothing on the backside of the Plunge All-In. On the backside of the Plunge XL, you are gonna need about 22 inches so you have room for your chiller and access to get to your filters. Now, because everything is built into the All-In, there is one thing you're gonna wanna note. When it comes time to changing your filters, it's very, very easy on the All-In. All you do is take this top cover off, and the filter access point is from the top right here, extremely easy to change. There's also a pause feature down here where you can pause the water. You don't have to plug it, you don't have to turn a valve, you literally just pause it and you can change the filter out without having to do anything crazy or extra. On the Plunge XL, it's a great product as well, but there are a few new steps that you're gonna have to follow for you to replace and change the filter out. You are gonna have to turn the product off, you are gonna have to change a valve to keep the water from flowing into the filter, and then you'll have to change the filter from there, and you'll also have to have room to get back behind it. So it's a major upgrade going to the Plunge All-In. It makes it very easy to maintain, very easy to do the maintenance, but the Plunge XL is extremely easy as well. To quickly talk about price, price is subject to change. I will tell you that obviously the Plunge XL is less money than the brand new Plunge All-In. The Plunge All-In is quieter. It's much quieter. I believe the number is 30+% quieter. It's also more efficient. It pulls less amps, which means your power bill will be less on the Plunge All-In. It actually gets colder and maintains that temperature a little bit easier than the Plunge XL. Now the Plunge XL is a great option and it's less expensive, but you are gonna have to deal with a little bit of noise. If you hear some humming, that is coming from the Plunge XL. The Plunge All-In, you can almost not hear it and it's running. It's extremely quiet and it's extremely efficient. Now I quickly want to measure the insides because that is really where there's a little bit of a difference. So the inside from the top edge to the top edge is 65 inches. The inside of the All-In is 28.5 inches from the top side. And I'm gonna stick this in the water for a second, and I wanna measure it just to where the water line is currently. The water line comes up to 17 inches, but you have all the way up to 22 inches to fill up with water. Now you won't wanna fill it all the way to the top, because when you get in and you add your weight, the water will overflow, and we do not want that. So you always wanna leave about 4 to 5 inches of room from the top edge, which right now there's about 6 inches in this one, but this is the company's plunge, so they wanted to make sure that no matter who's getting in here, everybody gets in there and it doesn't overflow, which is great. Now on the back side here, it's hard for me to measure it exactly, but it goes more vertical as opposed to the large slant that you see over here on the front side. So there's a large slant where your back goes, more vertical here, so that when you are sitting in, and I'm gonna sit here and show you a test here in a second, but when you are sitting in the Plunge All-In, your feet are able to kind of plant into that wall a little bit easier, and there's no sliding, which is really comfortable, makes for a very good experience when you're inside the Plunge All-In. And then comparing the internal dimensions to the Plunge XL, we're looking at from edge to edge 29, almost 30 inches, but 29.5 inches. From edge to edge up here, we are looking at 70 inches. And then the depth, we're looking at about, right now, 16 inches of water in here, but you can once again go up to about 22 inches, still leaving a little bit of that room. Both do have the same jets. Jets are on both ends of the plunges, going to create that circulation, keeping the water clean. There are gonna be 2 pre-filters, one at the bottom and one at the back edge. Once again, very good option to keeping that circulation going and making sure it's sucking up any debris that might find its way in. And both do have those beautiful lights that, as you saw with the lights off, creates a beautiful ambiance and can make for a really zen experience inside the plunge. And now I'm gonna go ahead and test out both and physically get into each of these. I'm gonna start with the Plunge XL. Now I am 6'1", 210 pounds, and I've been on a trip, I've been traveling a lot, so I have a little more weight than I typically have. So please don't judge me unless you really absolutely have to make yourself feel better, which I'm totally cool with. All right, well now let's go ahead and jump into the Plunge XL. Now there is another size, it's a size down from the Plunge XL, but I would not recommend if you're 5'11" or taller to get that plunge because it will seem a little bit smaller. It is a great option compared to some, but right now we're gonna get into the Plunge XL, which is what I have at home. Oh yeah. It's kind of hard to talk when you're in these, but as you can tell, with the slanted side on both sides, I wasn't able to plant my feet and I literally just slid in, which is fine, but you know, sometimes it's nice to be able to have that more vertical wall where you can plant your feet and really get comfortable and adjust yourself by literally just squatting in and not, because right now my feet are slipping a little bit. Now, a couple cool things to note, right over here on the wall is an auto doser. This is a new product by Plunge that'll be launching here soon. And what that does is it automatically doses to keep your water clean, and it keeps the right amount of chemicals. You don't have to check the pH, you don't have to check the water. It will do it for you, and it'll add whichever chemical it needs to keep the water the perfect number, which is really cool. Now, as far as the experience goes, the only negative thing I can say is that there's nowhere for me to plant my feet, and if there are chemicals in the water, there is a little bit more of a slip. So you can't really get planted inside here, which is fine. It's not a problem at all. There's plenty of room. As you can see, there's plenty of room in here for me to get fully submerged. Every part of my body can be underwater. If you like to use a snorkel and you like to stay underwater, you can easily do that because there's plenty of room inside this plunge. Plenty of room for me to spread my arms out and get water underneath my armpits, get the water all the way down to my collarbone, activating the vagus nerve. It's a very comfortable experience. And I can say that me and my daughter have gotten into this before. Me and my wife have gotten into this together before. And that's the nice thing about having the slanted sides on both sides, is you can do a dual plunge inside the Plunge XL. But now let's go ahead and jump into the Plunge All-In and compare. Now we're gonna go ahead and jump immediately into the Plunge All-In. It's gonna end up being a long plunge, huh? Oh yeah. See, I'm able to plant my feet and adjust myself as I want. This is a really cool experience. Once again, plenty of room, and because there's so much additional room down in the footwell, I have the room to go ahead and put my feet and get my entire body in the water very easily. I like where the light's placed. It's nice where the jets are both placed because it creates that circulation. A really cool feature that's new for the Plunge All-In is there's a pause feature, which you can use when replacing your filter, but also, like we were talking about, if you snorkel and you want more of a calm, relaxing experience, you can pause the water so no water will be moving while you're doing your plunge, and that's in increments of 15 minutes. You can pause it for 15 minutes for a simple filter change or for a simple plunge, and you can pause it all the way up to an hour, which is really cool. Similar to the Plunge XL, there's plenty of room for me to spread my wings and fly. I can let water activate my vagus nerve, get underneath my back. Every square inch of my body can get under this water. So it's an extremely comfortable and very relaxing plunge experience. Now you can see down here at the base, this is the new water basin or drip tray. And this is a really cool accessory that you can add. As you can see, when you get out of the plunge, a lot of water came with me. And there's some ways around that. If you don't have this, you can obviously just stand inside your tub and allow the water to just kind of drip off you, grab a towel. But having this water basin catching the water as I get out is a great touch, and I absolutely love it, especially if you're gonna have your plunge somewhere where you don't want a ton of water on the floor. Another cool update to the Plunge All-In is the touchpad over here on the side. Now, one thing you will notice, and I think I've mentioned this already before, is the Plunge All-In is extremely quiet. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put my microphone right next to where the fan is, where most of the noise is gonna come from. And if you hear some humming, it's actually coming from the Plunge XL. There's no noise coming from over here. But I literally have the microphone on the fan. Now real quick, just to compare, I'm gonna go back behind the Plunge XL. So as you can see, there's quite a bit difference when it comes to the sound, especially if you have this in a garage or in a gym inside your house. There's gonna be a little extra noise on the Plunge XL, which is not a problem. You can always unplug it or you can turn it off if that's something that you need to do. But it is nice to know that the Plunge All-In is extremely quiet. Now down here to the interface, there's a few options. The arrow down and up allow you to change the temperature just by pressing a button. You can turn the light on and off just by pressing a button. There's a pause feature and then a Wi-Fi feature. This does connect to the Plunge's new app, which is a really cool app. It's a gamified app. You can track your plunges, you can time your plunges, you can video record yourself while you're doing plunges, and you can even take guided plunges. But another cool part to that app is that you can actually connect to your plunge and you can make adjustments from your phone. If you get the Plunge Sauna, you can also turn your sauna on and off from your app. And you can schedule your sauna. You can have it turn on and off at specific times and specific temperatures. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming with the Plunge app. So in closing and final statements, I would say comparing both of these are very, very difficult for me to say which one to go for, because I would obviously say the Plunge All-In is the winner for me, but it is more expensive. The Plunge XL is actually what I have at my house, and I plunge in it often and I enjoy it. It's a great option as well. But when you're looking at both of these side by side and comparing, the Plunge All-In is a very, very good option. If you want quieter, if you want colder, if you want more connected, the Plunge All-In. If you're cool with more size and you're okay with a little bit of noise and this is something that you're not too worried about, the Plunge XL is a great way to save some money and still have some of the top features of a cold plunge. But I'm curious what your thoughts are. So please post down in the comments below which plunge you would choose, and I'll see you guys on the next video. I hope you all have a great day. Make sure you like and subscribe, and God bless. Let's get a little sauna sesh now.